Hey guys, so it's been a while since I've ever recorded anything ever, but recently I've made some post on my Tumblr about a very controversial Sonic character, and it's Lanolin. It's fucking Lanolin. This is mainly just me reading over the post and adding additional thoughts before we start getting into it. I need to hammer this point in so many times. I am not saying you can't have opinions on a character, nor am I saying she's this perfect, angelic, can do no wrong character. I am saying that I think she's flawed, but all characters, to an extent, should be flawed. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than the gameplay behind me is Sonic EXE the Disaster, and you might hear some chair squeaking in this video because I have a very squeaky chair. Hey there everyone, it's time for another Max opinion moment. Out of all the IDW characters, I think Lanolin is the character I've seen get the most hate. I'm not just talking about I dislike this character, I'm talking about posts where I've seen people act like Lanolin has killed their family sort of hate. Today I will be defending Lanolin as a character, talking about the main panels that cause this hatred, and why I think she's actually justified in her actions. I also make another disclaimer in this post saying that you can't, you can dislike Lanolin, but holy fucking shit, the hate's so much. Okay, back to the post. Case 1, the paddleball incident. One of the earliest example, comic timeline-wise, was this set of panels. Now, I've seen people actually see, though, there are these panels. Now, I want to explain why I, personally, understand why she's taken the paddleball away from her. Lanolin is talking about very important stuff here, and Tangle is actively interrupting the conversation by playing with the paddleball in her face. Also, as an autistic person, I personally know how distracting these noises can be. People also seem to forget that Lanolin, a few pages earlier, looks exhausted. That is not the face of a sheep that's well rested. Of course she's going to be irritable. You'd be a bit of a bitch too if you were talking about important stuff and someone was cutting off the conversation by fiddling with something really loud in your face. It's like if you were trying to present a school project that you worked all night on and someone just started playing a really loud video next to you. Does this make Tangle a bad person? Of course not. She's energetic and gets bored easily. Trust me, girl, I get it. But Lanolin isn't bad for getting upset. Case 2, the duo incident. This is the main reason a lot of people hate Lanolin as a character. Though, in the timeline, it is the second panel people will point to as justification for wanting this fictional sheep dead. This is the part of the post where I talk a lot about perspective and justification. Get ready for a lot of panel posting to add context. So, let's discuss the main perspective we see. Silver and Whispers. Silver and Whisper know something is up with Duo. Hell, Whisper hits the nail right on the head when she instantly assumes Duo to be Mimic. This happens after Mimic sneakily kicks Silver and Whisper notices. Another event that happens is when Mimic basically leaves Silver for dead. What does he say after Lanolin asks him where Silver is? I'm sorry, I couldn't save him. The teeth, so big. From Lanolin's perspective, Duo is the new guy, inexperienced and doesn't know how to deal with badniks, and this one was huge. So, from her POV, Duo did his best to save Silver and simply just couldn't. Of course she didn't know Duo is Mimic. So what do Silver and Whisper do after they assume there's a traitor amongst them? We're going hunting. Silver and Whisper don't first contact Lanolin or the others, they jump instantly to murder. The next panel we see Silver and Whisper in this arc is them camping in a bush, ready to shoot Mimic. Once again, I need to emphasize, they did not discuss this with Tangle or Lanolin, they jumped straight to murder. This is a rash choice on both of their ends. I also want to point out that Lanolin acted a little playfully and friendly before she saw Whisper coming out with the bushes with her Wispin. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize what Whisper is implying here. She wants to kill someone. Justified? Yes. Mimic is a horrible person who seems to only know one word. Betray. But from Lanolin's perspective, Duo is a newbie whose only crime was being inexperienced. She does not know Duo is Mimic. She even asks the shapeshifter, that's a big accusation, do you have any proof? She isn't saying, Whisper, this guy clearly isn't Mimic. She's saying, if you have proof he's Mimic, show it instead of shooting this person I assume is innocent. And Whisper responds, we will soon. Whisper then walks forward and proceeds to grab Lanolin's arm and move it. You'll notice it was the arm Lanolin was using to protect Duo. A teammate is walking towards your other, seemingly innocent teammate, accusing them of being someone from their past. They're carrying a loaded weapon and move you out of the way. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's about to happen next. Someone is about to get shot, someone is about to get killed. So what do? You knock the person down. What Lanolin does here is knock Whisper down before she does anything and attempts to reason with her. Whisper then kicks her legs trying to knock her over, thus starts a fight. But afterwards, Jewel asks, hey, let me get this straight. You tried to attack this dude based on an assumption? And Silver is like, yeah, shit, I guess I was. Then Lanolin steps in and is like, hey, until you can, think before you act, you should, stay away from us, okay? So, to emphasize a third time, Silver and Whisper decided to kill this guy before discussing with their team. Silver is a powerhouse, and a well-known powerhouse at that. Yada yada, great power, great responsibility, and all that. People act like Lanolin is banning Silver from ever being in the Diamond Cutters ever, but she's saying for now you can't be one of us. Until is an important word that changes a lot here. She's also saying that's my vote, implying she wants the others as input. Hell, this is even more emphasized when Jewel says to Tangle that she has a say in this. Lanolin is saying, hey, I think Silver shouldn't be around until he grows more. What do you guys think? I do think Lanolin has flaws here. She should have tried to give Whisper more of the benefit of the doubt here. But Whisper also shouldn't have tried to jump to murder. They're both in the wrong here. Okay, so I want to point this out, taking a break from the post for a sec here. If the audio prior sounds a little loud, that's because I had my mic turned all the way up. So from now on, you're not gonna be getting that. So, hip hip hooray, Max remembered that recording audio is a thing. Case 3, the Extreme Gear Incident. This is the latest Lanolin panel I've seen spark debate about her. So let's talk about the Diamond Cutters' role in this arc. They're referees. They're even called the Restoration Refs in issue 70. Basically, people who oversee the race to make sure everyone's playing fair and safe. She's not doing this because she hates Sonic. Okay, maybe she hates Sonic. Amy and Tails. She's doing this because it was an active threat to everybody else and themselves. Hell, I want to point out in the first panel of this case, she's actively pointing at Sonic, who she has witnessed firsthand clearly having a disregard to the rules and safety. The first time she ever meets him, he does this. That very event almost getting Tangle, one of her own teammates, hurt. So Lanolin calling Sonic a hazard isn't too far off. Do I think Lanolin is being harsh here? Yeah, hell, even the comic points out she's being harsh after the first panel of this case. People act like she turned around to Tails, called him a shit inventor, and spit on him. She's calling the gear faulty and hazards. She's literally doing her job. I need to emphasize this. Is she being rude? Yes, but she's blunt and it's a part of her character. Tangle is going to be naive, Whisper is going to be distant, Lanolin is going to be blunt. Bonus case, the Shattered Glass Incident. Okay, so this isn't what I've seen people hate on Lanolin for, but I have seen the anti-Lanolin squad be weird over this panel. Being all like, ha, not as perfect as she thought. And she's finally facing the consequences of her actions. What actions? Ah yes, stopping Sonic from endangering more racers. Lanolin broke the glass, yes. She acted quickly, yes. This wasn't her scheming and being like, hee hee, time to put all of these people in danger for some reason. Let's call it what it is, a mistake. Something people are allowed to make. Something Lanolin is allowed to make. This isn't some sort of her getting what's coming to her. It's her realizing she fucked up. Let her make mistakes and let them be mistakes. So, that was the first post. This is a little intermission between the two posts, because the second post does end up delving into heavier subjects about general fandom culture, about female characters, which is very heavy subject matter, but I do want to address that Lanolin, like I've said at the start of the video, I do believe is a character with flaws, but I do believe in the concept that if a character has no flaws, they are not an interesting character. I think what's happening here, honestly, from my opinion, is just that Lanolin's flaws are less quote-unquote palatable. And I guess as an autistic person who struggled with tone a lot, that I find her to be a pretty relatable character, honestly, because I accidentally come off as very blunt sometimes, I think. So, time for the next post. Like I said, the OG post was long enough with just me bringing up the specific events. I had to make a part 2. In this part, I'm going to be discussing Lanolin as a character. More so why she is the way that she is currently. I'll also be discussing her role as a character. Lanolin was introduced to us in issue 2. Wow, she was early in. She didn't really have much of a role at the time. She was a background character for a while before being reintroduced with a whole new look and personality in the Urban Warfare arc. However, she does go through more than that. In multiple arcs, you can see her in the background, most noteworthy being her outfit change becoming more and more battle-ready when you see it in the Metal Virus arc. Her style goes from something you'd wear during the summer for a nice day out to something you'd wear for a battle. I think it says a lot about what she went through. She goes from this jittery little thing to someone more strong. So let's get this out of the way. Lanolin is traumatized by the Badnik raids, and probably even more so by the Zombot virus, and everything else she was caught up in. I never wanted to feel so helpless and unprepared again. I feel like a lot of Lanolin's bossy and brashness comes from this. She acts the way she does because she doesn't want to feel that way ever again. Trauma changes people, speaking from experience. Whisper is another example of this being shown in IDW Sonic. She seems much bubblier in the past, but now she's quiet and reserved because of the death of her teammates. I also want to add something else to this, not to pull these events up again. I didn't want anyone to feel that way. Cut to me in a therapist chair. I believe a lot of the causes of Lanolin's biggest blunders comes from a place of not wanting anyone to feel helpless in the way she did. It's why she goes to protect the quote-unquote new scared guy and manipulator with years of experience. It's why she reacts with such fear when the track breaks. It's all done out of this desire. It's her moral code. Also, I think whenever she fails, it sends her into this pit of self-loathing. And I have the panels to prove this. Check this out. Take a look. That right there, that's Lanolin's guilt. Can we talk about Lanolin's guilt? Please, Sonic Blur. I've been dying to talk to you about Lanolin's guilt all day. Lanolin openly acknowledges that she's afraid of failing others, in the sense of making people feel unsafe in urban warfare, I feel at least. It's a small but important key to understanding Lanolin's mindset. Lanolin feels guilt every time she's done something to hurt others. It's why her eyes go so ghost wide when the track breaks, because she's put people in danger. Now, I think Lanolin's biggest flaw is that not only is she blunt, but I think she forgets that she can also put people in danger, on accident of course. When she realizes, I think it mentally comes crashing down to her. Girl does not handle failure well. Lanolin's role in the comic is pretty clear as day, at least to me. She's the straight man. Well, probably not straight and not a man. Basically, a straight man in media, someone who takes things seriously. It's their job to point out the utter bonkers stuff going around them and go, what? Which is one of the first things we see her do in the first scene she's really in. I personally love how her personality clashes and mixes with the others. It adds some nice chemistry to the mix. Characters that are typically characterized as serious will always clash with the goofballs. It's the charm of the dynamic. So, brief intermission in the post, because this is when we talk about fandom sexism, which is not fun, and this part of the post does turn ranty. So I will try to leave like a timestamp of when I stop talking about that in the video, but I do think that what I'm saying is just a lot of off the chest, my genuine thoughts on things about why I think Lanolin, another reason as to why I think Lanolin is so hated. I don't know why people hate her so much. She shares a lot of character traits with some fan favorites. I do think there might be some bigger reasons why people hate her. Max, what the hell are you talking about? Haha, well, there's two characters I want to discuss that do share traits with her that are fan favorites. Other than character differences, there is one key difference I want to discuss between Lanolin and these two characters. And this is the part where, despite the meme, I talked about a more difficult subject matter. What's the difference between these fan favorites? Well, their genders, and Alliance for Starline, but shrugs very loudly. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the part of the post that discusses fandom sexism. It's not lost on me that people adore Shadow and Starline, characters that are often ones that resort to whatever tactics they deem necessary to achieve their end goals. These tactics can include violence. Hell, we know Starline is downright petrified of failure, issue 50, and Shadow is also known for taking charge on things and boldly assuming stuff. Hell, he even assumes himself to be an android at one point. These are both characters that share a lot character-wise with Lanolin. I know for a fact if Shadow was the one who kicked Silver out of Team Dark, he'd still be beloved. If Starline was in Lanolin's place, you'd have people going, "Oh guys, hear me out." You know what's bad? When I've seen more genuine hate and vile spread about the possibly traumatized teenager than the grown man who canonically helped cause a zombie outbreak and so much more. I'm saying this, and Starline is my favorite Sonic IDW character. Keep that in mind while reading this. People would have adored Lanolin if she was a guy. I'm betting it right now. She wouldn't have been quote-unquote bitchy. She would have been determined and strong. She wouldn't have quote-unquote gotten what she deserved in those posts about the shattered glass incident. There would have been posts about how it wasn't his fault. Why do I say this? Because I've seen it happen in fandom again and again and again and again. Hell, even to the extent where people have called Mabel Pines, a 12-year-old, a manipulator. Princess Bubblegum wasn't being nice to Finn, she was leading him on. Rose Quartz wasn't a morally gray figure, she was a reckless person. Lanolin isn't doing her job and making a mistake, she's being a bitch and getting what she deserves. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I was considering deleting this part of the post, but I think it genuinely needs to be said. Lanolin's hate feels so deeply rooted in sexism, especially with all the talk of her getting what she deserved. I'm so stuck on this because it feels so gross. Saying you want her cooked, saying you want her dead, it feels so gross. She's a teenager, most likely. Even then, she openly acknowledges that she's inexperienced. She's learning. Let her learn. Like everybody is letting Surge learn. Am I saying everyone who hates Lanolin is a sexist? No. Am I saying that Lanolin would have given more slack if she was a man? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay. Posts are over. Rough stuff is over. Fandom sexism talk is over. Unfiltered thoughts. Go. Grrr. So, this video, the reason why it exists is also because I've seen a large amount of people coming out on YouTube and being like, hey, I like Lanolin. I think Lanolin's cool. I love the Lanolin defending, defense stuff. But I did want to chip in my 2 cents on it, because I made these posts and I was very passionate about them, and I like talking about my Sonic opinions. It's very fun. I think that Lanolin as a character is really fun, and I think that she can provide a new dynamic for a lot of, characters in the Sonic comics. I like that she's brash. I like that she's blunt. I like that she's kind of a bitch. And I know people do not like the fact that she's, blunt and mean sometimes. I fucking love it. I think that I've always found characters who seem to have, the best intentions in their heart. Because to me, Lanolin does have the best intentions in mind. Her intentions are to protect people. It's just that she goes about it in a way. She's just mean about it. And I love it, because it goes up against so many of the Sonic IDW cast, who a lot of their perspectives are either more distant, like Whisper, where she's more, I wouldn't say she's more aggressive, or more, passive or quiet. Whisper is Whisper. But, you also have characters like Tangle or Sonic who are very reckless in the way that they go about saving people. And then there's Lanolin, who's just like, okay, we're gonna do this by the books, and we're gonna, actually do this correctly. And I've always found those types of characters very interesting, but I've seen a lot of hate for Lanolin, and when I say that it feels like people think this fictional sheep killed their family. It feels like people think this fictional sheep killed their family. Like, I get it. You can have a least favorite character. I don't like Bubsy the Bobcat, like, even in an ironic sense, he fucking sucks. But I never go about it in the way that I've seen people who hate Lanolin go about it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, they want Lanolin's corpse to be shown on screen, it feels, or at least on the panels. And I do want to talk about the fact that I've seen people hate on Starline way more than her. And, like, and it's not to say that Starline hate doesn't exist. I have seen people hate on Starline, but not to the extent of Lanolin. And keep in mind, I'm only on Tumblr. I'm only on Tumblr. I'm not on Twitter. It's probably fucking worse on Twitter. It's probably terrible on Twitter. Twitter is Twitter. I don't go on Twitter for a reason. I don't have a Twitter for a reason. But yeah, like, my thoughts on the Lanolin hate, TLDR. I think it's overdone. I think that people in the Sonic community, because I've recognized this about the Sonic community as a whole, is that they won't read into things, or they'll read into things way too much. And I think the issue with Lanolin is that people are taking, like, her at such a face value, and just going, oh, she's just a bitch. Oh, she's just a bitch who hates fun. And yeah, she kind of is. So fucking what? But people don't recognize the fact that she's also trying to help people in a way that she deems safer than the way, like, Sonic or Tangle or anyone else goes about it. She doesn't see this as, like, an adventure like everyone else does. She sees these as missions. And I think that's a very important difference between her and, besides Whisper, like, most of the Sonic cast. And I think, personally, that makes her really interesting. I want to apologize if the last part of this video was super, like I said, rambly. But I do want to thank you for watching. And I hope I'll make another video soon. I do like writing these. Bye.